the last 75 years, how you rate our diplomatic relations in the global arena?
Pakistan-China relationship is very special. You remember with Tibet, they had a very serious issue with they went to war.
Still they are going.
14 neighboring countries, 14 borders to be settled.
So that is very the word you use, the compromises. The when people say Pakistan have give some East area to the China have compromised on some areas. What is that story?
China accepting Pakistan's position signaled Pakistan's support, China's support to Pakistan on Kashmir issue.
China is emerging as a power in the mid-80s.
You know, when Pakistan was put on grey list in FATF, it was one country, along with Turkey, which supported Pakistan all along.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Viewers, usually we say China-Pakistan relationship is a very unique relation. Why? We say that our relationship cannot be understood through the traditional theories of international relation. Our brotherhood has presented a different example. And now this year, we are celebrating 75th anniversary of our relationship. This relationship, in the last 75 years, what we did differently from other relationship, that today we say is an ironclad brotherhood. For that purpose, I have invited a very special guest. He has, I don't think so he needs any introduction. When we talk about China, he was our ambassador. He just came back from there, Ambassador Moinul Haq Saab. He is a career diplomat. He served at different stations in the world and important stations like Brussels and many other parts. But in China, he served as the ambassador of the Pakistan. He bring many changes in the embassy and their structures and their interaction in the China. That's why I have invited him for my first episode of this series, China-Pakistan relationship at 75. Sir, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you so much, Shakil.
Sir, if we look around our relationship from the very beginning, how our relationship was established, Pakistan relationship was established, and how Pakistani side and the Chinese side, they worked together to make it very strong from the very beginning.
Thank you so much once again, Shakil, and very happy to be on the first program that you are hosting to mark the 75th anniversary of our diplomatic relationship.
My pleasure.
Indeed, a milestone in our long journey of 7 decades. It's a very unique history. As you mentioned, that Pakistan-China relationship is very special.
Yep.
Indeed, it is. And I have been witness to that during my 3 years or so stay in China, to see that warmth, to see that goodwill.
We will talk about, sir, your experience there. But starting with the very, because to make understand.
I'm coming to that. So I've been witness to that goodwill and the warmth and the special feelings between our two people. It has a long history. Of course, you know, when we became independent in the 47, 1 year later, new China emerged.
Yeah.
And I think within a few years, our relationship established in 1951. Pakistan became one of the first countries to recognize the new China in 21st May 1951.
Yeah.
But within the establishment of diplomatic relations, the first contact took place in the Bandung Conference, the high-level contact.
1955.
1955, you remember that, in Indonesia, which was a non-aligned movement. And there, I think, the seeds of that cooperation and the relationship was so, though Pakistan has very soon joined anti-communist military alliances of SEATO and CENTO, but Pakistan has always been very clear in telling China that we have no aggressive designs against China. We have no fear from China, and our alliance is for our own security and reasons of that era. So I think Chinese were very smart, wise, who understood that, and they kept that relationship going. And then came the turning point.
So there is the one point.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell us if you have the knowledge of that. So once I was interacting with some friends from China and Pakistan. They were telling me very, very interesting thing. They said somebody went to the Chuanling, the Prime Minister of China, and told them Pakistan had joined the CENTO and SEATO. So your friend is become the friend of your enemy. So he said, look, if our friend is sitting there, one day he will benefit us.
True. That is the wisdom of Premier Chon Lai, who is, I would say, the main architect of Pakistan-China friendship, which is today. He always stood with Pakistan. He always understood our compulsions to be part of those CENTO and CETO. He never thought that Pakistan would damage China being part of those. So I think he is the one, you very rightly narrated that anecdote about Chon Lai, who always kept going and understanding Pakistan.
And definitely Pakistan helped them in the 1971 when Pakistan broke this rapprochement between China and the US. Sir, coming to the next question. When in early years, Pakistan established a relationship, and according to you, the turning point was 1955, Bandung Conference. In the early years, one of the major challenge was the border settlement, border issue. And I think China is still facing problem with the other friendly country also, like with the Central Asian states to some extent, and with some Russian, they also have some part. But India, they have a very long history of differences over the border. How Pakistan and China was able to settle their border issues?
When China came into being, the new China, it has almost 14 neighboring countries, 14 borders to be settled, which have been, of course, and the whole China, the imperial China also was colonized by Tsarist China, Russia, by British Empire, and slowly Chinese territories. And Japanese also, of course. But slowly these empires took away parts of Chinese territory. So China always said that we do not agree to those unequal treaties, and we want to settle our borders with our new neighbors. So they almost settled those borders with everybody except India. You remember with Tibet, they had a very serious issue with they went to war.
Still they are going.
So after that episode, and while this was happening, the China-India rivalry was taking shape. China and Pakistan was coming closer, settling their own border. So a joint commission, I think, was set up, a border commission in 61, right after the war of China-India war of 62, I think October 62 and to December, Pakistan concluded this border agreement, which was, I think, a basis to show that how two countries can settle their borders peacefully with compromises, understanding.
Sir, that is the word you used, the compromises. The when people say Pakistan have give some East area to the China have compromised on some areas. What is that story?
Most of that area which were being negotiated or demarcated was in Gilgit-Baltistan, part of Kashmir, which was a disputed area. So there was a question that how we are going to demarcate that area, which is disputed. Our own position, of course, it was within the UN's resolution were on Kashmir. But Pakistan decided to go ahead just to show that those areas which are under control, we have the right to decide about the demarcation of boundary. China's accepting that right of Pakistan to negotiate border demarcation was very important. It showed that China did not accept Indian position on India being a part of India. So India has been claiming the whole Kashmir. So China accepting Pakistan's position signaled China's support to Pakistan on Kashmir issue.
And the time China also became the third party for the Kashmir.
Yes, of course.
And today?
It is always supporting Pakistan on Kashmir issue. Our principal position always have been doing that.
Sir, at that time, when I look at the history, when the border agreement was going on and the Bandung Conference you were talking about, one name, it resonated in my mind, Muhammad Ali Bogra. But most of the times, there are many, you can say, the claimant of this, that I am the founder of the Pak-China relation, many politicians. But nobody talk about Muhammad Ali Bogra.
Yeah, he also played a part in bringing Pakistan-China relations very close. But I think along the way, many leaders, successive.
I'm just talking about in the beginning.
No,
1955.
I'm talking beginning also. Muhammad Ali Bogra, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, President Ayub. These are all very, very wise leaders who understood that the importance of China for Pakistan. Especially, I think you have to understand the geopolitics of that time, the Indian factor in that time, the United States' own position, especially during 1965 war, which we considered as the neutral position which took during 65, arms embargo on Pakistan. So we thought that was a betrayal. We were part of those alliances. We were accepting the United States to come to our help during that war, but it did not. And that, I think, was a very important turning point in China-Pakistan relationship. President Ayub, I think you recall, he went to China, declared a visit in 64, when China gave us a very important loan of $350 million, very important role.
At that time, $50
Premier
million.
Zhou Enlai himself offered that loan to Pakistan, plus a series of those weapon supplies, upgrading Pakistan defense industrial complexes and those things. So it was from that time that partnership started. And that was a turning point because of the US position they took in the 65 war.
And the betrayal.
Betrayal. It was
Definitely, you are a diplomat, you will not use that word. So that is a betrayal, if you talk about that in the true sense. And when you talk about the wisdom of leadership, once I was just watching a short clip of General Ziaul Haq. Somebody was trying to entangle him in some confusion or something like that, asking China, do this. He gave a very smart answer. He said, look, China is emerging as a power in the mid-80s. He has many other things to do. He cannot solely look at the Pakistan. But I assure you, if there was something wrong with the Pakistan, China would be there. So that was their wisdom, and they are not just saying like he is not doing good. So fast forward, because we have limited time. How you rate, if I ask you in the last 75 years, how you rate our diplomatic relations in the global arena? How we interacted with each other, or we help each other?
With China?
With China.
Oh, China, I would say.
Multilateral level cooperation.
Bilaterally, of course, we can talk about it, but at the international arena, China and Pakistan has been cooperating very, very closely. In our foreign service, we have been given a blank check. Whenever there is an issue relating to China in any international organization, we are given, you have to complete freedom to support China. We don't have to come back to Foreign Office to seek instructions. So that kind of a relationship that we have established over the years in international organizations, whether it's UN, whether it's FATF, whether it's NSG, China has always stood with us. When Pakistan was put on grey list in FATF, it was one country, along with Turkey, which supported Pakistan all along. When India was given a special nuclear status by US-India nuclear deal, and they were trying to bring India into the nuclear suppliers group, China stood and stopped that. And if India is being given a special status, Pakistan has to be given it. Whether it's 1971 war, whether it's the nuclear test by 1998, China always took a position where Pakistan interests were safeguarded. No one-sided position in international UN Security Council GA against Pakistan. It was always a very balanced position. So I think this shows the close cooperation, confidence of two
So
nations.
that means if the Pakistan diplomats have the blank check to support China, so Chinese diplomats also have the blank check
It's
to
almost
support
the same thing, of course.
Sir, when it comes the question of the Kashmir, you already told us China always supported us. So when comes the question of the Taiwan, how Pakistan is supporting them, the Xinjiang, because you were there, I saw you. So I think 2 years back you were visiting the Xinjiang region also, where the issue of the so-called issue of the Uyghur Muslims.
Yes, it's a very important part of both our countries' posturing and foreign policy that we support each other on our core issues. China always do that for Pakistan, Kashmir, or our sovereignty or territorial
Atomic,
atomic civil nuclear energy, our terrorism, issue of terrorism. China has stood as. Similarly, Pakistan has always, China's core issues of Taiwan, of Xinjiang, Hong Kong, South China Sea, or Tibet. We, of course, you mentioned about Xinjiang. Xinjiang is a very important part of China. It's double the size of Pakistan, a very rich province next door to Pakistan. So
and the border to many countries.
And border to many countries of Central Asia, and very important relationship with those countries, trade relationship. So I thought, when Prime Minister Kakar visited China in 2023, October 2023, to celebrate the decade of BRI, so Chinese were asked us, your Prime Minister would like to go to another province? So I recommended to the government that Prime Minister should go to Xinjiang. He would be the first Prime Minister to go. And I'm glad that Islamabad accepted that. Chinese were very...
And that was very wise decision, I think.
I wanted a relationship, or embassy wanted a relationship between Xinjiang and Gilgit-Baltistan for economic cooperation, for cultural cooperation. And Prime Minister was accorded a red carpet welcome there. And they agreed on many things.
He delivered a very good speech at the university.
Yes, you remember that? He gave a very good speech there. And the outcome, main outcome was that the border between the two countries would be open all year round. Normally, due to winter conditions, it is 5-6 months, it's closed. That crossing.
That can help. That is a wise step can make a difference.
You know, if we can upgrade that border linkage, the main trade can go via this road, this route to China. China is our major trading partner. So I think it makes sense for us, for both countries, to upgrade the Xinjiang and Sust border and do this.
Sir, I want to talk someday, some other day, but not today, some other day. Our trade relation is very interesting because in 1952, when we have the first transaction, of the trade transaction, of total, I think it was $86 million at that time. And export of Pakistan was $84 million. So the complete reversal. So we have to someday we have to go for some soul searching. What happened? And what is the wrong with that?
Yeah,
that is a position.
That requires another session.
That's why I said I will talk some other day. So when you're talking about the global relations and cooperation, but there are also some very important events in Pakistan history. 1965 war, 71 war, when Pakistan was a very new country. Pakistan was just has been born, and then you have to face the adversaries from in 1965 from India. And 1971 from India, supported by Russia, USSR at that time. But I strongly suspect it was also supported by USA, because that's why they could not reach there. And there's some foreign funded terrorism and insurgency in Bangladesh. So how, in these all years, how China helped us in 1965 war or in 1971 war? This is very important. I want to ask about that.
Yeah, 1965 war, China has a very strong political and diplomatic support for Pakistan. And another important factor which many people don't know, that at that time when India has opened a new front and entered Lahore and was threatening Lahore, China gave an ultimatum to India. Ultimatum that some people have crossed the border to China from India, and you should stop that. Otherwise, there would be consequences. And that shocked people. It shocked India, shocked US, shocked USSR. They thought that there's a new front is going to be open. This war will become wider, would be escalated, and China has come into the scene. And that changed the complexion. That brought made both USSR and USA, which were interestingly, ironically, were cooperating at that time because they wanted to weaken China. They forced India to come to ceasefire, and then Tashkent happened, and we had that ceasefire agreement. So it was China which helped us because Pakistan was getting
decisive act.
This ultimatum, but small ultimatum, changed the complexion of the war. And then, of course, and then I told you that President Ayub went to
China.
to a very secret mission he took to China, in which because he was very upset with US, and he thought that now I have to look towards other ways to help Pakistan, especially militarily and economically. So China was the answer, and Premier Chou Enlai, Chairman Mao received him and gave all assurances and started a new chapter of Pakistan-China relation. And then those support which China gave, massive military support, and most of it, many people don't know, was free of cost. Free of cost, Shakil, and it went on for many, many years. So that was also very helpful for us in 1971 war.
And I think this generation does not know that.
Yes.
So many. I was just once reading I think the writing from the Lieutenant General Talat Masood. Someday he was writing about the defense cooperation. So he enlisted so many installations in Pakistan which was created with the help of China.
Exactly.
And in Bangladesh also. We at that time, which was the part of the Pakistan as a East Pakistan. And I have also recall one more thing, sir. Once I was talking to the Akram Zaki Saab, later give them the highest place in Jannah. He said, so in when you went to there, so Chairman Mao also proposed this Silk Route, Shah-e-Karakram, we say that, so that we will jointly build that. Yeah. He correlated this incident and the incident of 1963 when Pakistan gave them the air corridor to the China.
Yeah.
He says at that point China have designed this route corridor.
True.
The CPEC, modern CPEC. So that's why I always feel it's always help us to understand China-Pakistan when we talk to some wise brains and who are on the job. That's why we invited you also.
You are right. I mean, that air corridor that we established in 1963, the first non-communist country, Pakistan, PIA, which flew to China, from Dhaka to Shanghai, the first airline. So it is a precursor to CPEC. And then you talked about the Shah-e-Karakram, that road that we created, which is a marvel of the world. It was also a main artery between the two countries, now which is a part of CPEC. So this, I think, a vision of the leadership of that time, who could see the future economic relationship that is going to be built with Pakistan.
So moving fast forward to the diplomatic relations in the 1971. That was an era, so when Pakistan was playing a pivotal role to break, you can say, to bring the rapprochement between China and the US. But simultaneously, Pakistan was hit with by aggression by India and the Mukti Bahani and the USSR. So but there are many people say that China did not help or something like that. How China was helping us at that point?
That visit of Henry Kissinger, which Pakistan helped facilitate, was a very important historical event, I would call, like the one which we just had, the mediation.
No, I rank that the bigger one. The reason, after that, the globalization, the process of globalization started and accelerated. And today the world is enjoying the dividend of that rapprochement and the globalization process. That is a big topic we will discuss some other day. But how Pakistan was playing a role there and betrayed by these lies, and then how China helped us.
Playing the role in the 1971 visit of Henry Kissinger?
Well, that is one part. But in 1971, when India imposed a war on Pakistan, and Mukti Bahani in Bangladesh, that was a very critical moment. When our friend USA, they betrayed us. They have said, in sixth, what say that something is coming to Pakistan, it's never reached. How China helped us that critical moment?
You know, at that point, if you remember, when the war with in Dhaka started, East Pakistan, and India also joined, the Henry Kissinger visit has already taken place. So that a kind of a trilateral cooperation between China, US, and Pakistan was already happened. And then another event very important happened, 1971, Soviet Union and India signed a treaty, a defense pact or something, very important. So when 1971 happened, the United States position vis-a-vis from 65 was a bit better because Nixon and Kissinger both had a soft corner for Pakistan. But they could not help the ground situation. They could not help India coming to East Pakistan. They could not help the breakup of Pakistan. So US at that point also, its position, its support was. But China again, of course, it could not, enter the war with militarily, but diplomatically. After 1971, in UN Council, I think China used its veto first time. That was the entry of Bangladesh. It stopped that recognition of Bangladesh for a long time. It was China's veto which stopped. But of course, later the things changed. So China at that point also, besides...
Then in 1974, at the Islamic Conference, Pakistan...
That of course...
After that, China went for the recognition.
After that, of course, then Pakistan agreed and recognized Bangladesh, then China recognized. So China withhold its recognition till Pakistan accepted that.
And the viewers, there is one more incident which I was just reading in the book. I could not get the proper reference that after 1971 war, China, I think they finished over all the loans. They say that no need to pay. You are going through this crisis. But I could not get the reference because the amount was very huge. Somebody saying like that $1 billion at that time. At that time, 1 billion is a very big amount.
Very big amount.
But I could not get the reference, so I stopped to use that. So viewers, we have to take a short break here. Stay with us, we will be back soon. So viewers, we were talking about our historical relationship with China. And we talked about some very important but interesting events also in our history. Now moving fast forward, in this session we will be talking more about in the future and what happened in the recent past and what would be in the future. Sir, if you look at that, because there are two periods, one is before the 1998, before the global policy, and after that. So how you see our relationship has improved or the change, or new dynamics emerged in our relationship with China when China adopted this global policy, and especially also joining the WTO?
Yes, very right. I think in late 90s and early 2000, China was working very hard to establish its global image. It has also already, I think, on the many years have passed after Deng Xiaoping opening up and reform, and China was developing a very fast pace, almost 9% average every year of GDP growth. So China wanted to emerge on a world stage as per its...
And definitely they have the production surplus.
They have already become the factory of the world.
Yes. And
supplying to everywhere around the world. So I think at that point, the first step was, as you mentioned, 2001, joining the WTO. The coming into the mainstream of supply chains, part of the international economic institutions. And that was a big success for China. China showed that intent, that it is ready. It can be part of those negotiations, international negotiations, international institutions. And after that, China played a very important role. In my view, I don't know whether we can talk here, the turning point for China was when President Xi became the president and launched his landmark Belt and Road Initiative in 2013 in his speech in Kazakhstan. That was the start of China, a new China, which was showing to the world that they are ready.
China in new era.
China in new era. China has come. Now everybody should notice that. Not in a way that they wanted to show that they are new superpower. They never claimed that. They are very humble. They are very people who have great humility. They never wanted to become a great superpower, but they wanted that they are an important nation with a history of civilization and which can contribute to global peace and security. And that, I think, Belt and Road Initiative and following that, other initiative, which he announced with regular intervals.
Global Development Initiative.
This is a framework.
In whole this scenario, when China was just moving to another dimension, so you were one step ahead at the global, it was emerging as a global player. So how China maintained the relationship with Pakistan?
Look, for Pakistan, I think China's emergence as an economic power was a great opportunity. Earlier, our relationship, I would say, that was more political, more military to military. Economic input was missing. It was in 2007 that we signed our first free trade agreement with China.
Yep.
And that was a bit of start.
No, 2006, I think. So when the
2006 is
Hajantao was visiting Pakistan.
Negotiated, and I think it was 2006 and 7 that was negotiated, and we entered into a free trade agreement. There we decided that our economic partnership is very important. And then, after a few years, CPEC was launched. That was, I think, a very important, what do they call it? They call CPEC a game changer for the entire Pakistan's economy. So that during this year, these two events, FTA, giving importance to our trade relationship, CPEC, giving importance to investments into our infrastructure, energy, and overall socio-economic development, formed the very important basis of our relationship. And then we also, upgraded FTA, phase 2 of FTA into 2020. And I've almost reached there. This has already negotiated,
FTA 2.
which helped Pakistan a great deal in our trade relationship with China. Though it is still heavily tilted in China's favor. We import almost $24 billion, and we export only 3.5 billion. There is still need to improve, but opportunity is there, Shakil.
But sir,
huge opportunity.
You are absolutely right. Our production capacity is a big problem.
CPEC, one very important aspect of CPEC, in my view, the most important, was industrialization, special economic zones. But unfortunately, we have been working, but unfortunately, that promise of CPEC, we could not.
Sir, I will come back to CPEC. I will especially ask you, because you are one of the most important person in this whole chain, because when we were going for the CPEC 2, you were there to steer this process. Sir, in the first decade of the 2000, after the Go Global policy, President Musharraf, when visited China in 2003, and Ambassador Riaz, they did a very wonderful job there. The talk you are talking about, to bring the economy in the mainstream. My question is, when there are so many things were offered in the first decade, you say the CPEC is a big opportunity, I totally agree. But before that, even that, so why Pakistan was not able to benefit those economic opportunities? Like in 1989, I think we signed this economic investment agreement. And after that, we have Zong, we have Huawei, we have this Haier, and many other big companies. Why Pakistan could not benefit to that extent?
To answer that question, I think one has to look why China was able to develop or sustain this unprecedented economic growth. What lessons we can draw from China? A very important one is political stability. So Pakistan, or sustainability of policies, political stability, and having policies which are cycled over different political governments. So unfortunately in our case is that we have not been able to have that kind of stability, either political or policy. So when you don't have that stability, you can't have economic growth. You can't have investors coming to your country. You can't give them that confidence that one project negotiated and signed today in this government will not be reversed in the next government. China has that. China's one decision taken today will be honored by successive leadership and political governments after 2 decades also. So this is very important for economic development of any country.
Sir, but I want to ask one other question. I think it was you who, I think, were giving a lecture in IRS. You highlighted this point. So we signed so many MOUs with China. I think, but we are unable to implement.
MOUs is one step. Follow-up implementation is the second step. When you have so many stakeholders, when you have so many departments, ministries, You have to have a synergy between them. You have to have coordination between them and a kind of capacity to understand and to implement.
Do you think our bureaucracy have that capacity?
I think
Diplomacy, I don't want to be, but diplomats, when they're bringing in the MOU, that means they have that capacity to talk something, to bring something. Implementation, our bureaucracy.
You know, we have finest bureaucrats, I would say that. Traditionally, our bureaucracy has been very, very strong. And they have contributed a lot to Pakistan. But at the same time, now I can see there is a kind of inertia, a kind of apathy. Many reasons could be for that. But I think professionalism, meritocracy, which also is part of a lesson to be learned from China, is now started to I think, a question mark in Pakistan. It is very important that our bureaucrats become professionals. For example, I can give you take a CV of any bureaucrat in Pakistan, a senior, seasoned bureaucrat. He would have in his 30 years of career, so he would have 30 assignments. 1 year in one ministry, 1 year in another ministry, 1 year.
2 in climate change, 2 more petroleum.
So how, I mean, despite his intelligence, despite his capability, how he can contribute in one year or few months in one ministry.
And that's the diplomacy here.
So
you have diplomats.
So we have some kind of continuity. Na? So I think that should be brought to bureaucracy also. They are very capable officers. You give them that mandate, that continuity, so they can implement their ideas and visions in a long-term
Sir,
basis.
that is a bureaucracy is I think very sticky point, especially when the deputy commissioner come to the office in the ministry or sit here. So before he is doing an entirely different job.
Yes.
After that he has to do entirely different job. And I saw many bureaucrats. They could not forget their deputy commissioner post whole their life.
No, that's another assignment, very important assignment.
Yeah. But I'm coming to our main topic. So China gave us the opportunity in 2003. When I look at 2003 Beijing Declaration, many things are written there. But in 2014, when we launched the CPEC, so what do you think? Because why I'm asking this question first, the viewers, I just want to let you know the background. Because Ambassador Moin al-Haq, he served in China at a very critical time, when the first phase of CPEC was just concluding, and the second phase was just inaugurating. And there was a third BRI forum, so where the new BRI was emerging. So when we look at the CPEC, as you mentioned already, CPEC is a big opportunity for the Pakistan. So you were serving in China at a time when the first phase of CPEC was concluding and second phase was coming. And you worked with two or three different governments. One said the PTI, then become this caretaker government, then the PDM, then this government. Can you explain or to share your experience? What benefit Pakistan could have from the CPEC, and what we could not have we could not benefit from the CPEC opportunities? Can you share with the audience?
Yeah, Shakili, I think everybody knows that in the first phase, as we were talking earlier, Pakistan greatly benefited from CPEC in terms of our energy gaps that we had. We were able to bridge those gaps, the load shedding, we were able to address that issue. Secondly, we were able to upgrade our infrastructure, very important communication, transport, road and transport infrastructure. And third very important pillar was Gwadar Port, which was the jewel crown of the CPEC. Of course, it's a big project. It's a challenging project.
And especially it came at the time when no one was investing, as you were mentioning earlier.
And nobody was investing in Pakistan at that time. You must remember that. So China came to our help, big help at that time. So the first phase was very, very important, in my view, in terms of setting the base for future takeoff. The infrastructure, the hardcore infrastructure. And the second phase, which you mentioned, 2.0, was about industrialization.
And there I want more discussion from you, because you are very pivotal in this whole process.
You know, in my view, the industrialization part or setting up of special economic zone was the most important one. The key area where in a way we have not been able to utilize that promise of CPEC. Special economic zone, a few have come up here and there, but most of them have been, I would say, become a victim to concept of real estate model. So SEZs in China are not real estate models. They are built on sound business philosophy. You have to help businessmen, industries to come and set up their businesses, manufacturing units, create an ecosystem, give all facilities at very nominal cost, and then they export that to the outside world.
Special means special.
Special. So here what we have been doing is we were trying to sell plots without providing those facilities. So I think that Prime Minister must compliment Prime Minister Shahbaz, who has been very much focusing on that. He was giving many briefings here and especially in China also about the importance of.
Sir, I can validate this one, this point, because once he invited me for the 20-minute briefing, but it went on for the more than 1 hour.
Yeah.
His interest is very intense. He wants to make a success. So, as you were talking about the special economic zones, so what you foresee in the coming days, we will be able to overcome challenge?
I think the current government is aware of the importance of special economic zone, because without setting up these industrial zone, you call it whatever, special exports processing zone, you have to focus on your exports, building your capacities to have that kind of a surplus that you can export to the outside world. I was telling you during the break that in the last few years, we have signed 4 or 5 protocols of important agricultural products with China, like dairies, like cherries, like onion, and some other products. And that had opened almost to 60 to 70 billion or dollars of market.
60 to 70 billion
dollars of market in China. A big opportunities.
Sir, hold on. The planning minister always say we want to go for the 100 mark, and there is a 60 to 70 million we can get from.
I mean, he's Minister Planning he's been very right. He has always been saying that if Pakistan can't reach a target of 90 to 100 billion dollar exports in the next few years, then we are doomed. And he has been saying that in China and Pakistan, everywhere. That means that we have to work towards that target also.
That's what I'm saying.
We have to create an ecosystem where the exporters can feel encouraged to invest, either Pakistanis or foreigners. So I think the government has to, I must say, have to focus on this one-point agenda of export, promotion, expansion. And that is linked with many things. With linked in industrialization, and that is linked with agriculture, modernization, which is a very important part of CPEC 2.0.
Sir, you're absolutely right, because for the first phase of CPEC, my institute conducted a study. We tried to find out if there was no CPEC, what would be the opportunity cost. Our initial estimate shows that in 2014, Pakistan was losing $4 to $5 billion due to the electricity load shedding.
Exactly. See, huge loss.
And we calculated if they were not energy projects due to the CPEC and some other things, Pakistan would be losing 15 to 20 billion per annum in 2022. That is the opportunity cost.
So see the benefit and the opportunity.
That's how I usually ask to the people.
Yeah.
So look, this is the opportunity cost. Anyways, moving to our the last session, or 1 or 2 questions. As you mentioned already, so China have launched many global initiatives, BRI, Global Development Initiative, Global Security Initiative, Global Civilization Initiative. So China is emerging as a great power. Or merged, rather I say that China has already emerged. How China is taking along Pakistan? And when I was reading, why I want to ask this question, when I was reading Action Plan 2025, there are so many areas where China set a community of shared future with Pakistan. So the people must know what is happening.
Shakil, this global initiatives of President Xi Jinping is part of a very framework, which you already mentioned, shared community of
Community with the shared future.
Community of mankind of shared future.
जी जी.
This is a overarching theme of President Xi Jinping concept. BRI is first initiative of that concept, launched in 2013. Then Global Development Initiative, then Global Security Initiative, then Global Civilization, and recently Global Governance Initiative. Pakistan has been part of each initiative right from the beginning. We have been briefed about the basic contours of these things. We became an active partner. BRI, you know, CPEC.
Flagship.
GDI, many people don't know.
CPEC is a flagship of
It's
BRI.
the flagship, the most important. And for GDI, Pakistan was also the first partner country of GDI. The MOU was signed during Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif's visit to China in 2002. So even in GDI, Pakistan was the
2022.
first. In 2022, November 2022, we became the first country to sign that MOU. GDI is about SDGs, UN SDGs, about agriculture, about climate change, about agriculture. So those
And
things.
Pakistan is the only country, sir. I just want to share with also the people. The Parliament of Pakistan have a GDI group.
Have a GDI group. See? So from our political class also, or leadership and corporate business, we have been supporting these ideas because these ideas are a vision for a global just order, equitable order, and protecting the rights of global South and the developing countries. So it's a kind of a foreign policy tool of China, taking along the interests and the needs of the developing countries.
Yeah, and the signing of Action Plan 2025 with the Pakistan clearly indicates that China want to take Pakistan
Exactly.
along. So lastly, and this is on the lighter note, so you served there in China for many years. I think 3 years you were
3
there,
years.
Ambassador. So any special event or incident which you want to share with us or with the audience, which you still cherish?
Shakil, I think many people don't realize that China-Pakistan relationship is not a political relationship. It is a very strong G to G relationship. But I think its main ethos is a people-to-people relationship. For me also, when I went to China, I also somehow thought that we have a very strong political relationship. But when it was to my pleasant surprise that it is even more stronger at the people level. The people of China, the love, affection that they have for Pakistan, I think it's unique. Even in Pakistan, we don't have that kind of love and affection for China, which they have. You know, in China, there is a term which is called batiye. Batiye is a Chinese word meaning iron brother.
Iron brother.
And batiye is only reserved for Pakistan. It is very moving. I mean, if you can go to any street, talk to anyone, tell them that you are from Pakistan, immediately his face will lit up and he will say, Batiye, my iron brother. You know, this is a very warm, heartwarming moment which I have faced in many parts of China, in small villages, in big cities, in companies, wherever I go, I tell them I'm from Pakistan. The special treatment that I get, it's unique. This kind of a treatment, Pakistanis only get in Turkey, or in China.
Yeah.
So when you heard the term Batiye in China,
It's a very emotional.
remember that they are talking about their brothers, iron brothers in Pakistan.
Yes, so that is a very emotional.
And of course, this year we are celebrating 75th anniversary. I was lucky that when I was in China, we celebrated 70th anniversary. And that was a very special moment, difficult times during COVID. But our two countries were able to manage 70 plus 70, 140 events to celebrate that milestone. And this year, inshallah, we'll be doing even more. And our two governments are, I think, coordinating very closely. And your program
is an
part
effort to
of that.
contribute that.
It's contributing.
So it's an effort to contribute that. I think there are still many things which we can discuss, we can learn from your experience.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Saab. There are many things to discuss, but unfortunately, we have limited time. I want to extend it, but this is a compulsion. And definitely in some other sitting, we will discuss more things. So viewers, this was our first attempt to decode and make everybody understand about the China-Pakistan relationship. I learned a lot from the discussion with Ambassador Saab, although I claim I work on China, and I am confident you must have also learned many things which I don't know and maybe many people don't know. This was the first episode. We will come with the more episodes where we will be discussing other dimensions of relationship, political, economic, and military and the defense. And we will come with the more interesting personalities. Till that time, Allah Hafiz.